Hello everyone, welcome to the 5 Minutes Podcast. Today I'd like to talk about TRL, or Technology Readiness Level. I released a video on my YouTube channel recently talking about this. But what I want today, I don't want to go over and explain everything again, but I want just to explain to you why this is a quite nice and relevant tool. First, the TRL was created by NASA in the 70s, so it's not something, the concept is not something that was created yesterday. And what was the problem that NASA was trying to solve when they created this kind of scale to make sure that the technology is ready to be used? Because the risks of space exploration are very close to unlimited. It's a very high-risk scenario. So what did they want? They didn't want to implement a new technology that was not fully tested, because this could put in risk all the mission, all the investments, and the people, the crew, the research, everything would be just destroyed if you implement a technology that is not ready. So they created this from TRL 1 up to 9 based on the maturity. Basically, they did something like 3 blocks. TRL 1, 2, and 3 are what we call research. On these 3 levels, you are talking just about assumptions. You are doing research, you are making some principles, making some small experiments, making something, for example, very small test, an active research. So usually these research groups comes from universities. So someone had an idea. For example, I think that, for example, that kind of material is very good to cover the seats of a car because they are fire resistant, for example. But at that point, I cannot produce cars with that technology yet, because there is still a road to go to prove that that technology is feasible. And then when I reach this, I would say this initial proof of concept, I go to the development. And this phase is very important, because this phase you start to spend a lot of money on that research. And at the same time, the risks are still very high. Because on the research, the risks are extremely high, but you are not spending a lot of money. But at the development, you are starting to use labs. You are, for example, on TRL 6, you are, for example, building a prototype. So you are talking about, for example, if you are like Boeing, like Embraer or Airbus, you are building a prototype. The prototype is not cheap at all. And you are not sure if things will work out on that technology you're trying to test. And then, only after that, you go to the deployment. And this deployment, of course, you continue to spend money, but now you are mostly transition that idea to a large-scale environment to the use. And this is the journey from TRL 1 up to 9. And what do you need to know here is that if you decide to take an idea that is in TRL 1 or 2 and put it into production, there is an absolutely relevant risk that things will not work out. For example, we are now talking about self-driven cars. Just to use as an example, self-driven cars. It will be very hard for any car manufacturer to release a feature like that without making absolutely sure that all possible tests were made and all the required approvals were made on the deployment phase. Because if things go wrong, and there is a chance that things will go wrong, you will be in deep trouble. So this is exactly, and when I talk about technology, and this is why in my examples, I was not trying to talk about IT, because every time I talk about technology, people stick almost automatically to IT, to software. And of course, TRL 1 up to 9, they work perfectly for software. For example, let's suppose you are a bank. You cannot say, oh, I have a new feature that people will use to transfer money, but it's not mature, but let's put to our 3 million clients to use it. There is no way you will do that. And there is no way that any regulator will allow you to do that, because this technology is not ready yet. Look, Bitcoin today is an example. There are many organizations that consider that Bitcoin is not a technology that is ready yet. despite that some organizations are using it because there is a lot of uncertainties on the legal aspects, on the way we control, on the way you avoid, for example, any criminal activity. And these are things that you need to find a solution. And the TRL in 2013 became an ISO. So there are many organizations using this. And this is a very nice tool. When you get trapped to think about, okay, so let's build, just using as an example, let's build our metaverse. Let's build today our metaverse. You should go back and do your research and say, okay, the metaverse concept, where is it now? Is it TRL 3, 4, 5, 6? Right? Probably. I'm guessing here, okay? I'm guessing here, but it's something probably between 5, 6. So if you put all your stores, for example, inside the metaverse now, you can. But you need to know the risks you are running. And this is exactly why I created the video, and this is why I'm sharing this with you. I invited you, if you didn't have time yet to watch the video, it's a 30 minutes, 25 or 30 minutes video. It's on my YouTube channel where I go to every single TRL explaining them. And it comes with a primer, with like a thermometer, explaining how do you frame your technology to see where it is in terms of maturity and how ready this technology is to take off in your project. Think always about that. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and see you next week with another 5 minutes podcast.